Hello, in this video we will talk about an objects method and the use of the this keyword, which is necessary when defining methods that access properties inside an object or that call other methods in the object. Recall from the other video that properties correspond to the characteristics of an object, while methods correspond to their behavior. Before getting into the code, I just want to review some additional JavaScript code that I have included with the downloaded code from the course website. On the HTML page, I have defined a number of buttons that are used to conveniently display the data from the WebDev object. The JavaScript code contains the object references to the buttons and the updated event listeners that call either the properties or the methods from my object. Currently, the only buttons that work are the display course name and the display instructor. We will now work on displaying the course information. The name of my property is display information, and then I assign display information an anonymous function. And that anonymous function can do pretty much anything, but at this time I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to return a string, a static string that states this is a web development class. So saving it and refreshing the web page in my browser, clicking on the display information displays the return value from that method. You will notice down here in the display info event handler, I am calling the display information function. Currently, this method is not very useful because the data returned is static. So we're going to make it a little bit more useful and dynamic by referencing the object's properties. So I'm going to modify display the course information so that I reference the course name and the instructor. Now notice I am using the this keyword when I reference both the name property and the instructor property. Saving and refreshing my page allows me to access those values. So if I change Introduction to Web Dev to Introduction to Web Development, save it and refresh, the value is updated as well when I click on Display Information. Now this keyword is necessary. If you omit the this keyword for the name, you will get unexpected results when you refresh your page. So in this case, worst case scenario is nothing is returned. However, let's consider the possibility that a variable called name exists in the global space. So here I'm going to create a variable called name. So now when I save and refresh my page, you'll notice that the course name is now Ana Peralta. So you either get nothing or something completely unexpected. So please remember to use the this keyword when referencing the properties in your object. Now my objects are not static, so we can also change a property's value by updating the property with a new value. So here I'm going to create another method called change instructor, and this method will simply update the instructor property to unassigned. So refreshing my page, when I display the instructor, you will see that the instructor has this value. I'm going to call the method from the console, and I say webdev.changeinstructor. Once I've done that, I can come back and redisplay the instructor, and you will notice that it changes to unassigned. Again, this is not very useful. What we usually do with setter methods is to have a variable, a formal parameter defined in our method header. So in this example, I'm going to state that my function will accept one parameter that represents the new name. And then here inside the method body, I will simply reference the new name formal parameter. So now what happens, I can change the name of the instructor to anything that I want. So in this case, I'm going to give the course to Salvador Peralta. and change the instructor. And so now when I display the instructor, it is Salvador Peralta instead of unassigned. Just as we can reference an object's properties, we can also invoke other objects' methods. In this example, I am defining a new function, or new method, to format the semester start and end dates so that it's user-friendly. So I will add that method here, and I am formatting it so that I call the semester start date separated by a dash, and then I state the semester end dates. Now I will update my display information function method so that I include the dates. So I will get the dates and I add it into my method call for display information. So now when I save and refresh my page, when I click on the display information, I am also getting the semester start and end dates. One final note regarding an object's method is that it may contain any number of statements within its body, as it is for any other JavaScript code. In this example, I am defining the getFormatedTopics method so that it returns a user-friendly, comma-separated list from the topics array. As you can see, I iterate through the topics property and I use the selection statement to ensure the commas are correctly placed. I will update the display information method to call the getFormatedTopics method. Saving and refreshing the page, you can see that when I click on display information, the comma-separated list works as expected. So to summarize what we have covered with this video, we have talked about how to define an object's methods, which includes how to call other methods that are defined within the object. We talked about how to modify the object's properties, how to define formal parameters on a method, and finally, how that method body may contain any number of statements and/or control structures. We also discussed the necessity of the this keyword in order to reference properties and methods defined within an object.